Obstructionist and inappropriate. Those are just some of the words used in a scathing letter sent from St. Louis prosecutor Kim Gardner to St. Louis top safety officers. The letter puts the police department on blast regarding the investigation into the death of Officer Katlyn Alix. News 4's Lauren Traeger is digging for answers tonight, particularly about one huge question in the investigation. Lauren?
Yeah, that's right, Courtney. That huge question, whether or not the officers were on drugs or alcohol the morning of Officer Alix's death. According to prosecutors, police collected samples from the officers, but top brass in the department did so in such a way to make it nearly impossible for prosecutors to use the information in court.
I don't disagree with Kim Gardner. I'm concerned that the police department may be trying to obstruct this investigation.
Attorney Lynette Petruska says a letter like the one sent by prosecutor Kim Gardner Monday is highly unusual. The letter sent to Chief John Hayden and Public Safety Director Jimmie Edwards. It says a prosecutor and 2 investigators went to the shooting scene Thursday morning and had conversations with 3 top leaders of the police department about the prosecutor's desire to have blood drawn for testing from both on-duty officers involved in the incident. And they said they began preparing a search warrant to get the blood tests. But the letter says prosecutors were eventually informed that a breath test was taken, as well as a urine analysis of the officers. Only later did prosecutors learn those samples were collected under something known as garrity. That means statements or evidence collected by a supervisor of a public employee.
When you know that somebody is asking for a search warrant to obtain evidence as part of a criminal investigation, you would never obtain that information pursuant to garrity.
Petruska explains that legally, if evidence is obtained by a garrity statement, it cannot be used in a criminal prosecution. That means prosecutors may never know if the officers were under the influence.
I would think a jury would want to know if you were drunk or high out of your mind when you're pointing a gun at somebody.
Gardner's letter calls what the police did, quote, an obstructionist tactic to prevent them from understanding the state of the officers. The letter goes on to criticize the department for characterizing the incident as an accident and that the officers mishandled a firearm.
Our officers are not obstructionists.
Public Safety Director Jimmie Edwards held a press conference Tuesday defending the St. Louis Police Department and the chief's actions.
And I think that we have to be careful and we have to be fair, and we should not vilify the entire department based upon what has transpired here.
In fact, he says it's the police department's role to process a crime scene, not the prosecutors.
We have to be careful that the prosecutor does not go on scene and direct the collection of evidence in many instances.
But he says he will guarantee the public will know the test results.
I absolutely think that you would get it. I want you to have it.
So the bottom line here, prosecutors wanted a search warrant to test the officers' blood since they feel that's a superior test, but that did not happen. Prosecutors are still hopeful they will at the very least get the urine and breath test, but that could take a long legal battle. We will certainly keep following it. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4.
Nathaniel Hendren, the officer accused of killing Officer Katlyn Alix, appeared before a judge today by video. His attorney is still asking for a bond reduction, but tonight attorney Talmadge Newton is accusing prosecutor Kim Gardner of misconduct, saying the investigation is unsalvageable and tainted. He says the letter Gardner sent to Chief Hayden is proof that she charged Hendren without gathering all the facts or evidence.